Absolutely not. Maxwell Porter, CEO of Porter Tech Solutions, didn't even look up from his phone as he dismissed 6 months of my work. My carefully prepared presentation still glowed on the conference room screen, showing colorful mock-ups of an app that could revolutionize how people manage their mental health. But the market research shows. I started. Olivia, he cut me off, finally glancing up. We're a business software company. We make accounting programs and inventory management systems. We don't do consumer apps, especially not some. He waved his hand dismissively. Therapy thing. I gripped my laptop tighter, fighting to keep my voice steady. The mental health app market is projected to reach $3.9 billion by next year. This could open up an entirely new revenue stream for Porter Tech. And what do you know about revenue streams? Maxwell's smile was cold. You're a junior developer. You've been here what, 2 years? 3 years, I corrected, and I've contributed to every major project since. Actually, he interrupted again. That's something we need to discuss. He pressed a button on his desk phone. Send in Helen from HR. My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. I'd heard it last month when they laid off half the QA team. Helen Barnes bustled in, carrying a folder and wearing her practiced HR smile. The one that never quite reached her eyes. Olivia, she said warmly, as if she hadn't just been summoned to help destroy my career. Please sit down. I remained standing. What's this about? Maxwell leaned back in his chair, suddenly looking almost pleased. In light of recent budget constraints and your, let's call it unauthorized use of company time to develop this app idea, we're making some changes to your role. Helen opened her folder. We're offering you a position as front desk receptionist. Same benefits, though naturally there will be an adjustment to your compensation. The rest of her words faded into background noise as I processed what was happening. They were demoting me, from software developer to receptionist, because I dared to pitch an idea outside their narrow vision. This is ridiculous, I managed. I'm a developer. I have a master's in computer science from MIT. Then you should be more than qualified to handle the booking system, Maxwell smirked. The alternative, of course, is termination. Your choice. I thought about my apartment rent, my student loans, the current tech job market. I couldn't afford to be unemployed, not now. When do I start? My voice sounded distant, even to myself. Monday, Helen said brightly. I'll email you the new job description. We'll need your developer credentials and access cards by end of day. That evening, I sat in my tiny studio apartment, surrounded by empty takeout containers and self-pity. My laptop screen showed the app mockups I'd spent months perfecting. Mindspace, a revolutionary platform combining AI-driven therapy tools with peer support networks and professional resources. I'd gotten the idea after watching my best friend Kate struggle to find affordable therapy during the pandemic. The existing apps were clunky, impersonal, or prohibitively expensive. I knew I could build something better. My phone buzzed. Speaking of Kate, I'm going to kill him, she declared when I told her what happened. Actually murder him, with his own pretentious Italian leather shoes. I managed a weak laugh. Pretty sure that won't help my career prospects. Neither will letting them demote you to receptionist. You're brilliant, Liv. Your app idea is brilliant. Don't let them. I need the job, Kate. I sighed, looking at my sad bank balance. At least for now. She was quiet for a moment. So what are you going to do? I stared at my laptop screen, at the mock-ups that had gotten me into this mess. Then I noticed something. The Porter Tech VPN was still connected, my developer access still active. They wouldn't disable it until tomorrow. I'm going to build it anyway, I said slowly, an idea forming. Build what? The app? Yes. I sat up straighter, energy returning. They think putting me at the front desk will shut me up. Fine. I'll use their Wi-Fi, their electricity, their coffee. I'll build Mindspace right under their noses. Liv? Kate sounded worried. Is that legal? As long as I use my own equipment and don't touch any company code. Perfectly legal. They can't stop me from working on personal projects during downtime. But can you really build an entire app by yourself while working reception? I thought about the coding workshops I've been running for local high school girls, teaching them the basics of app development. About Maria, the brightest student I'd ever mentored, who was now studying computer science because I showed her it was possible. I won't be doing it alone, I replied. I know exactly who to call. The next morning, before heading to Porter Tech to turn in my developer credentials, I made 3 important calls. First, to Maria. How'd you like to get some real-world development experience? Then to my college roommate Jen, now a UX designer in Seattle. Remember that app idea I told you about? I'm doing it. You in. Finally, to my cousin David, a lawyer specializing in tech startups. I need to make sure everything I'm about to do is completely legal. By Monday morning, when I took my place behind the reception desk at Porter Tech, I had a plan. My personal laptop was loaded with development tools. I had a secure cloud repository set up under a different email, and I had a team of talented people ready to work remotely. Maxwell walked past without acknowledging me, probably expecting to see me broken and defeated. Instead, I smiled pleasantly and answered the phone. Porter Tech Solutions, how may I direct your call? Between calls, I opened my laptop and began to code. The front desk turned out to be the perfect cover. No one pays attention to the receptionist. Executives would have entire conversations right in front of me about market trends, user acquisition strategies, app monetization, all valuable intelligence for my own project. I learned more about running a successful tech company in my first week as a receptionist than I had in 3 years as a developer. Maria proved to be an invaluable partner, her fresh perspective helping us avoid the bloat that plagued most corporate apps. We coded in the evenings over video chat, her enthusiasm reminding me why I fell in love with programming in the first place. Jen's design work was extraordinary, making the interface both beautiful and intuitive. She understood exactly what we were trying to achieve, an app that felt like talking to a supportive friend rather than a cold digital tool. The work wasn't easy. I answered phones and greeted visitors all day, then coded late into the night. My apartment became a command center of sticky notes and energy drink cans. I survived on cheap coffee and determination. But slowly, mind space began to take shape. 1 month into my demotion, I overheard Maxwell talking to the head of marketing about their struggling attempts to reach younger users. I made notes and adjusted our strategy accordingly. 2 months in, a board member complained about the company's outdated UI design. I sent screenshots to Jen, who incorporated the latest design trends into our app. 3 months in, I had a working prototype. The AI algorithms were learning, the peer support network was functioning, and our first round of beta testers, recruited carefully from outside the tech industry, were providing valuable feedback. I was exhausted but exhilarated. This was more than revenge now. This was about creating something that could genuinely help people. Then came the day that almost ruined everything. I was deep in code, fixing a bug in the notification system, when a shadow fell across my desk. I looked up to find Helen from HR, wearing that same practiced smile. "Olivia, what are you working on?" I kept my face neutral, thanking every deity I could think of that my screen was angled away from her. "Just organizing my personal emails during lunch break." She nodded, but her eyes narrowed slightly. "Remember, all computer use must be related to your reception duties." Of course, I smiled back. I'll get right back to the visitor log. That night, I called an emergency team meeting. "We need to be more careful," I told Maria and Jen over video chat. "And we need to move faster. The longer this takes, the more chances they have to shut us down." "The core features are almost ready," Maria reported. "We could launch with those and add the advanced stuff later." Jen shared her screen, showing our latest analytics. Beta user engagement is off the charts. People love it, live. They're already asking when they can share it with friends. I took a deep breath, looking at the progress we'd made. We were so close. We couldn't fail now. Okay, I decided. Let's set a launch date, 1 month from today. As I ended the call, a notification popped up on my screen, an email from the App Store review team. Our initial submission had been approved. Mindspace was ready for release whenever we gave the word. I glanced at my Porter Tech employee badge at the photo taken 3 years ago when I still believed in the company's mission. In 1 month, everything would change. I just had to keep my cover for a little longer. With 1 month until launch, everything that could go wrong did. First, Porter Tech installed new monitoring software on their Wi-Fi network. I discovered this when Gary from it stopped by the front desk, wearing his usual friendly smile. "Just updating security protocols," he said, typing commands into his tablet. "Too many employees using company resources for personal projects." My heart nearly stopped. They discovered Mindspace. But Gary just winked at me. Though I'm sure you're not doing anything like that, right, Olivia? I forced a laugh, mind racing. I'd need to route all development traffic through a secure VPN now. More carefully, more slowly. Time we didn't have. That evening, during our team video call, Maria had more bad news. There's a bug in the peer support matching algorithm, she reported, sharing her screen to show lines of problematic code. It's not properly filtering inappropriate content. If we launch like this, we'd be putting vulnerable users at risk. I finished, rubbing my tired eyes. How long to fix it? At least 2 weeks of dedicated work. 2 weeks we didn't have. But we couldn't launch with broken safety features. Mindspace was meant to help people, not harm them. Then Jen spoke up, her voice hesitant. There's something else. A new mental health app just launched, called MindMender. She sent us the link. My stomach dropped as I scrolled through their website. The interface was different, but the core concept was eerily similar to Mindspace. How is this possible? Maria asked. Did someone leak our idea? I thought back to all the conversations I'd overheard at the front desk, all the executives who'd walked past while I was coding. No, I said slowly. But Porter Tech's offices are full of people who saw my presentation. The next day, I paid closer attention to office gossip. It didn't take long to confirm my suspicions. Maxwell Porter's nephew had just launched a startup, a mental health app startup. They hadn't just rejected my idea. They'd stolen it. During lunch break, I did some digging. MindMender had raised $2 million in seed funding. Their launch was being covered by major tech blogs, and their founder, James Porter, was being hailed as a visionary entrepreneur. I wanted to scream. Instead, I called David my lawyer cousin. Can they do this? I demanded. Just steal my idea. Ideas aren't copyrightable, he reminded me gently, unless you can prove they used your actual code or designs. Which I can't, because they just took the concept. I slumped in my chair. So what do I do? Build something better, he said simply. You've been working on this for months. You understand the problem deeper than someone who just copied an idea. Use that. He was right. MindMender was sleek but superficial. Their AI responses were generic. Their peer support system was basically just a chat room. They'd built what they thought people wanted, not what people actually needed. That night, I gathered the team. Change of plans, I announced. We're not rushing to launch anymore. We're going to take the time to do this right. We spent the next week refining every feature. Maria rebuilt the matching algorithm from scratch, making it smarter and safer. Jen redesigned the interface to be more intuitive, more human. I worked through lunches, stayed late after my reception shift, coded through weekends. My apartment became a cave of coffee cups and takeout containers. Kate started dropping off actual meals, worried I'd get scurvy. You need to take care of yourself, she insisted. Isn't that what your app is all about? She had a point, so I started using Mindspace myself, testing each feature as we built it. The AI therapy tools helped me manage stress. The peer support network connected me with others building startups while working day jobs. Slowly, something unexpected happened. Watching MindMender succeed stopped feeling like failure. Instead, it clarified our mission. We weren't just building an app anymore. We were building a community, but corporate espionage wasn't done with us yet. One morning, about 2 weeks before our new launch date, I arrived at work to find someone had been through my desk. Nothing was obviously missing, but things were slightly out of place. My laptop's position had shifted by a few inches. I checked the security footage from my phone's hidden camera, installed after Helen's warning visit. At 3 a.m., a figure had entered the lobby using an executive key card. They'd spent 20 minutes going through my desk drawers. The image was grainy, but I recognized the way they moved. James Porter, the MindMender founder, Maxwell's precious nephew. They were getting nervous. That night, I moved all our code to a new repository, changed every password, and activated two-factor authentication on everything. Then I did something risky. I left my work laptop in my desk drawer, with a special surprise installed. Sure enough, the next night, James returned. This time, my hidden camera caught him copying files from my laptop onto a USB drive. What he didn't know was that the files were decoys. Fragments of code that looked like Mindspace but wouldn't actually work. And buried in those fragments was a digital signature, proof that he tried to steal our work. Insurance, just in case. But we still had bigger problems. The deadline was approaching, and our budget was running dangerously low. We'd been funding everything ourselves, my savings, Jen's freelance work, Maria's tutoring money. Then came the investor call that changed everything. I was manning the front desk, trying to fix a bug in our notification system, when a woman walked in. Early 50s, sharp suit, the kind of confident presence that made everyone else in the room sit straighter. "I have an appointment with Maxwell Porter," she announced. I checked the calendar. Dr. Sarah Chen. "From Horizon Ventures?" She nodded, and I felt my heart skip. Horizon Ventures was one of the biggest players in health tech investment. As I called up to Maxwell's office, I noticed Dr. Chen glancing at my laptop screen. I quickly minimized my code window, but not before she raised an eyebrow. "Interesting architecture," she commented. "Building something." Before I could respond, Maxwell burst out of the elevator, all smiles and handshakes. "Sarah, wonderful to see you. Let me tell you about some exciting opportunities." They disappeared into the conference room, but not before Dr. Chen gave me a final, thoughtful look. That afternoon, after they finished their meeting, Dr. Chen stopped by my desk. "That looked like a therapy application you were working on," she said quietly, "with some unique security implementations I haven't seen before." I hesitated, then decided to take a risk. "Would you like to see more?" For the next 15 minutes, I showed her Mindspace, the learning algorithms, the sophisticated content filtering, the peer support network that matched users based on shared experiences rather than generic categories. "This is impressive," she said finally, "especially for someone working from a reception desk." She handed me her card. "Call my office tomorrow. Let's talk properly." That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I called Horizon Ventures from my lunch break. Dr. Chen didn't waste time with small talk. "Your app solves problems I didn't see addressed in your competitor's product. Problems that tell me you actually understand this market." "You mean MindMender?" I tried to keep the bitterness from my voice. "Ah," she paused. "You know about that situation." "Situation. James Porter has been pitching us for additional funding, but his numbers aren't good. User retention is abysmal. Turns out copying an idea isn't the same as understanding it." My heart raced. "Are you saying?" "I'm saying I'd like to discuss investment, real investment in a team that knows what they're doing." I gripped the phone tighter. "Even though I'm just a receptionist?" She laughed. "Honey, I started my first company from my car while working as a parking attendant. I know potential when I see it." The meeting was set for the following week, but first we had a major problem to solve. That evening during our team call, I broke the news. "We can't take investment while I'm still working here. It's a conflict of interest, possibly even a legal issue." "So quit," Maria said, as if it was the simplest thing in the world, "and risk them coming after us legally, claiming I developed it on company time." "Actually," Jen interrupted, "I have an idea about that." Her plan was audacious, risky, and absolutely perfect. "It's going to take perfect timing," I warned. Maria grinned. "When has that ever stopped us?" We spent the next week preparing everything. Every detail had to be perfect, because we weren't just launching an app anymore. We were setting a trap. And Maxwell Porter was about to walk right into it. The morning everything changed started like any other at Porter Tech's front desk. I answered calls, greeted visitors, and secretly checked our app's pre-launch metrics. Mindspace was ready. Our code was perfect, our security was ironclad, and our small army of beta testers was eager to spread the word. But timing would be everything. At exactly 9:15 a.m., right on schedule, James Porter stormed through the lobby, heading straight for his uncle's office. He didn't even glance at me, the invisible receptionist who had outsmarted him at every turn. I sent a quick text to Maria. Showtime. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed with notifications. MindMender's App Store rating was plummeting. Hundreds of one-star reviews appeared within minutes, all with the same complaint. The app had crashed, deleting user data and exposing private messages. The bug we'd hidden in the code James stole was working perfectly. I could hear shouting from Maxwell's office. Through the glass walls, I saw James gesturing frantically at his laptop while Maxwell turned redder by the minute. At 9:30, Helen from HR hurried past my desk. A stack of papers clutched to her chest. She didn't notice that her security badge had slipped slightly, its reflection perfectly captured by my phone's camera, another piece of evidence documented. At 9:45, Dr. Chen arrived for our scheduled meeting. I told her 10 o'clock, but as expected, she was early. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Quite a morning for mental health apps, she remarked casually, glancing at her phone. Have you seen what's happening with MindMender? I might have heard something, I reply, keeping my voice neutral. Would you like some coffee while you wait? She smiled knowingly. No need. I think the show's about to start. Right on cue, Maxwell's office door burst open. He stormed toward the elevator, James trailing behind him. We have to shut it down, James was saying. The whole platform is compromised. Shut it? Maxwell sputtered. Do you know how much we've invested in this? The press release goes out in an hour. Actually, Dr. Chen stepped forward, her voice carrying across the lobby. I believe that press release needs some revision. Maxwell froze. Sarah? What are you doing here? Supporting innovation, she said smoothly. Real innovation, not stolen ideas packaged as original work. James went pale. I don't know what you're. Save it, Dr. Chen cut him off. We have proof that MindMender's code was copied from another project. A project that was, ironically, developed right here in your building. She gestured to my desk, where my laptop screen now displayed MindSpace's interface, nearly identical to MindMender's, but with a creation date months earlier. Maxwell's face went from red to white. Olivia? I stood up, smoothing my receptionist's blazer. Surprise. The next few minutes were chaos. Maxwell shouted about betrayal and threatened lawsuits. James tried to delete files from his phone, not realizing we'd already documented everything. Helen emerged from HR, clutching termination papers that would never be filed. Through it all, Dr. Chen watched with quiet amusement. Finally, when Maxwell paused for breath, I spoke. Before you threaten any more lawsuits, I said calmly, you should know that everything, from my original pitch to James stealing my code, has been documented, including some interesting financial transactions between Porter Tech and MindMender that the SEC might want to examine. Maxwell's jaw clenched. What do you want? Simple. You're going to publicly acknowledge that MindMender was based on stolen intellectual property. You're going to shut it down. And you're going to stay out of my way while I launch the real thing. Or what? Dr. Chen stepped forward. Or Horizon Ventures will be very interested in discussing these documents with our friends at the Justice Department. The silence that followed was deafening. Then something unexpected happened. From the elevator, a slow clap began. Standing there was Gary Fromett, grinning broadly. I wondered how long it would take him to figure it out, he said, walking over. By the way, boss, you should know that Olivia's been running her development through a private VPN. Never touch the company network. Totally legal. I checked. Maxwell looked like he might explode. You knew about this. Knew about it? I helped secure it. See, some of us actually care about innovation. Gary turned to me. Need a job. My startup could use a developer with your skills. Before Maxwell could respond, his phone chimed. Then mine. Then everyone's phones in the lobby. Breaking tech news. MindSpace launches. Revolutionary mental health app takes App Store by storm. Maria and Jen had pushed the launch button right on schedule. I turned my laptop around, showing the rapidly climbing download numbers. Oh, and you might want to check MindSpace's investor list. Dr. Chen isn't the only one who believes in original ideas. The names scrolled past major venture capital firms, tech industry leaders, mental health professionals. We'd spent weeks quietly building support, preparing for this moment. Maxwell sank into a lobby chair, defeated. James was frantically texting, probably trying to salvage his reputation. Helen had disappeared back to HR, likely updating her resume. Dr. Chen touched my arm. Ready for that meeting now. I looked around the lobby one last time, at the desk where I'd spent 6 months coding in secret, at the security cameras that had documented everything, at the Wi-Fi router that had carried my app from idea to reality. Actually, I smiled. I have a better idea. Let's meet at my new office. I hear there's a tech startup looking to sublease Porter Tech's old space. 2 months later, I sat in what used to be Maxwell's office, now headquarters of MindSpace Technologies. Our app had passed 5 million downloads. Major healthcare providers were licensing our platform. And most importantly, we were actually helping people. Maria had joined full-time as our lead developer after graduating early. Jen had moved from Seattle to head our design team. Even Gary had jumped ship from Porter Tech, bringing his security expertise to protect our growing user base. Kate stopped by regularly, proud that her struggle had inspired something meaningful. "Just promise me one thing," she said during one visit. "Never get so successful that you forget why you built this." I pointed to the front desk visible through my office window. It was empty now, but I kept it as a reminder. "That's why the desk stays," I told her. "To remember that great ideas can come from anywhere, even from someone everyone else ignored." Porter Tech's stock had taken a hit after the Mindmender scandal. Maxwell stepped down as CEO, though the press release called it a planned retirement. James had disappeared to some startup incubator in Singapore. But I didn't care about revenge anymore. We were too busy building something that mattered. My phone buzzed. A message from Dr. Chen. Our latest funding round had closed. The numbers made my head spin. As I looked out over the city skyline, the same view Maxwell used to enjoy, I opened MinSpace on my phone. Our mission statement shimmered on the screen. Everyone deserves to be heard. I thought about all the nights coding in secret, all the carefully laid plans, all the people who believed in us when we were nothing but an idea and some borrowed Wi-Fi. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies. It's building something so amazing that they're forced to watch from the sidelines, knowing they could have been part of it. My desk phone lit up, our new receptionist letting me know my next appointment had arrived. A young developer with an idea she wanted to pitch. "Send her in," I said, clearing my schedule. After all, you never know where the next great idea might come from, even if it comes from someone sitting at the front desk, quietly changing the world.